Hey folks, and welcome back to Life Reimagined. Today I'm going to talk about, what the hell am I talking about? Generation X and the decline of Western civilization. I mean, come on now, we all knew growing up that shit was screwed up and it was never going to get any better. Yeah. Talked about this, remember high school in the 80s? We all knew it was shit. We all saw this coming. We had crappy family lives, and so what'd we do? We doubled down. Well, it's not our fault, man, but we just did the opposite of what our parents did. We became what they call that, helicopter parents, So instead of giving no supervision, they gave, tons of, trying to be friends with your kids instead of being parents was a horrible idea. Yeah, I mean, look at them today, Yeah, you think about it, it's just like, damn, they've set us up on this shit, The movement of the 60s, the individualism movement of the 60s and 70s, and, beginning of the 80s, they hated that shit. So what'd they do? Put drugs into, poor neighborhoods, funded the neo-Nazi movement, opened up the borders, just made life worse for everybody, man. So what they did, is they broke up the individual thing because they didn't want individual. They don't want people thinking for themselves. So, since I remember, and you did too, I was pretty little, but 12, I think, when they, the Department of Education came into being. I could tell, I was a smart kid, so I was, in the smart classes and all that shit. And I could tell the difference, the year afterwards, the effect on having a nationalized Department of Education. And instead of learning, it became indoctrination. They started teaching people what to think and not how to think. They changed on teaching people how to read, phonetically. I don't know why they stopped that. I mean, that's just insane. That's why people don't know how to read and write, just because they're not teaching it properly, and they don't want to teach it properly. They don't want people to be stupid. So we went, like I said, so we went to the, the hippies, and hippies became yippies. That's how they fixed the hippie movement. The individualism is they turned them into political protesters. Hippies wasn't about being political. Hippie was about the self, finding the self, self-expression, and then you get the underground, all those guys, the yippies, Rubin and whoever else they were, the whole political yippie movement, So I got rid of, the individualism started to go. And then, started putting in the drugs and, they call it MSK or some shit, and, they just use drugs as a, society, what the hell is the word I want to use? Indoctrination, brainwashing, the whole war on drugs, that was, you were there, that was one big party, man. But, they did that, they allowed that shit on purpose, man. Okay, let me get back on track here. And, the whole, the decline of Western civilization started in the 60s with the breakup of the family home, the welfare state, the breakup of the homes, women going to work, the welfare state, because we grew up, Gen Xers grew up without the family thing, so, we made it worse, and, with our kids and, our grandkids, Never got better, man. We lost the family, we lost morality, and I'm not saying you have to be some religion, man, but we lost, everything's okay. Nobody, is responsible anymore for their own actions, because, you know, they can blame it on the government, they can blame it on their parents, they can blame it on, you know, whatever. But, yeah, again, I lost my thought. I'm stoned. So. Yeah, and okay, you know, you understand what I'm saying, you know, but now what do we do is the question. Yeah. I see people standing up again, but at the same time, you see, I guess it's, you know, the smallest people always have the biggest, you know, the loudest voice. They're jumping and screaming. But then like the crap that happened in New York. So some socialist, communist dude wins the Democratic primary. Well, what the hell's going on with that, man? We'll see. I kind of, yeah. We'll see what happens. I hope he does. We'll see. I don't think he will. There's not, yeah, he doesn't have the backing. He has a loud voice, and he hung out with AOC, but that shit ain't flying. Yeah, and I don't think America wants, we're hardwired for independence. We're hardwired for liberty and justice, you know, the rule of law, you know, and we can get into that way, man. Cops are sovereign citizens who look over us, you know. They're not bound by anything. You know, try putting a complaint in on a cop. See how far that goes. Yeah. We all know, you know, they monitor themselves, so we know how that works out. Yeah, just being governable and learn as many skill sets as you can. Like when I gave up drinking, I learned how to run a still. That's how I got through it. So I drank a little bit, you know, I was tasting it. But I didn't drink. I didn't drink it and get drunk, you know. But I learned how to do that. I've learned how to weld. You know, this is since I've been sick. You know, started getting sick again. Yeah, I've done my own mechanics. I've done rear ends. You know, so I've learned a lot of parts on a vehicle, I should say. Anyway, yeah, welding, running a still, already knew water systems and stuff. But there's other stuff I know how to do, huh? But I don't know. That's just in the last couple of years, so. But you get what I'm saying, yeah. You know, you don't know how to grow your own food. Learn how to grow your own food. You don't know how to sell. You know, I like to sell myself. You know, I find it calming. You know? My eyesight's getting worse, but I still like to sell. I sell all my own shit all the time. But yeah, don't just give up. You know, give up the TV. Give up listening to politicians. Read a book. Read some history. Learn a skill. That's the thing I'm saying. Learn a skill. Go outside. Oh, yeah, learn how to harvest food. I live in Oregon, so there's free food everywhere, man. And I live next to the ocean and the river, so... And the woods are right here, so... yeah, you'd have to be really stupid to go hungry here, you know, for any length of time, anyway. You know, but... yeah, so, you know, learn how to feed yourself, learn, you know, get up and move. Moving is probably one of the most important things you could do for your health. Yeah. Get up and go walk around the block. Get a dog, man. That's one of the reasons I got a dog. My heart started going out, so I got a dog, so I have to get up and go walking. And getting a dog was the best thing I ever did. This is my second dog. Buddy. He's my buddy. But yeah, get up and moving. That's what's gonna erode your health the fastest. That and then diet. Diet problem. I'd be even. But diet's super important, man. Super important. What I did, because I was a diabetic, high blood pressure. I've had a bunch of heart attacks. I have a pacemaker now, and I've had cancer. I had colon cancer. I got diagnosed with both. I had congestive heart failure, went into the hospital, and they said I had cancer and that. So within a couple of days, I had both surgeries. They had to do my heart first and then come in and take out the cancer. And at that time, you know, I was diabetic, high blood pressure, the whole not good health shit. And after coming out of the hospital, they had me on the right stuff. Then they tried to use my my medication as a weapon, and and then I really just started getting into what I need to do. I started doing the research. Oh, what's his name? Eklund. I think his name is Dr. Eklund. He's a holistic doctor. He does tons of videos. He was a Olympian. He's a holistic doctor. Eklund. Eklund. I think that's it. Check his shit out, man. But yeah, I gave up grains. And I got rid of my diabetes and my hypertension. Yeah, I can't explain it, but it did. My levels are fine. I check my blood pressure 3 times a day at least, and then I do my oxygen thing a ton of times. I check my heart rate, my oxygen levels, because I'm super symptomatic, so it's like, fuck, man, it scares me sometimes. So I just check, to make sure my oxygen levels are fine, because that'll be one of the first signs of having a heart attack is that you don't have, your blood's not carrying enough oxygen to your heart. Your heart's not pumping enough, however that works. You don't have enough oxygen in your blood, and yeah, that's how you're done. But yeah. So let me see if I got all this, man. Generation X, the decline of Western civilization. Because again, think about it. We're the generation of TV. Our parents plopped us in the front of the TV when we're 4 or 5 years old. We were the first generation ever had to do that. We were the first generation with computers. Didn't have that. In high school, my high school had one computer, and it had its own room. Like I said, I was one of the smart kids, so I took the computer class. Basic. That was back in the basics. And we had to write it out. You had to write it out by hand. And then at the end of the week, you'd run your shit, to see if it worked or not. Yeah. And, okay, so yeah, we're the first ones that had computers. First generation to have the cell phone. And all these things, what they said was going to bring us together, we all know for a fact has pulled us apart. Yeah. Because we don't have that family. That's the main thing, is we don't have the family. We don't have that, that core group that, we rely on. That's our gig, man. So we come here and you watch idiots like me who have, don't know what the hell they're talking about. But I'm coming on here, like I said, man, my health's real bad. And so I'm just coming on here, to put my thoughts and feelings, on the interweb. And who knows? Might be dead next week, and 20 years from now, some kid, pulls this up on his, brain implant thing, finds it on my tube or whatever, might learn something. I don't know. But it's just, a lot of it's venting. Not venting. Just kind of trying to let it all hang out. The more I talk about it, the better I understand. So, no way I can help somebody, That's my goal. Let you, to share my experiences in this world. Bodhisattva, Enlightenment for idiots. Just believe in yourself. And, anything's possible. It's just a probability. And that's where quantum theory comes in. Because everything's possible. It's just that probability. So if you, and that's what paganism is about. Witchcraft is about. Is taking those probabilities and setting them in line. Oh, that's the same thing they do in the Catholic Church. That's why they do the big rituals. Rituals are for to put everything in line to get, your invocation or evocation, or, you're setting up the setting up the universe, that it's more probable that this is going to happen than just, asking for it with, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Now I'm starting to ramble. It's been going on a while. So, I'll put in another one next week. And, be ungovernable, man. I guess that's my my whole message on this one is be ungovernable. Be responsible for your actions. Be kind. That's it. Have a good one, folks. See you next week.